About that.
You're back. Hey, hang on.
I'm
We're
back.
we're live on Facebook, everyone. So welcome. Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
What's your shirt say? Revolution?
Revolution.
Revoluti ion.
Revolution.
All right. So
We're gonna have one.
we are having one right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
We're in the midst of a health revolution.
Yeah, we're in that too.
You know, and I think it's good. Hang on, I was just putting my phone into the mute mode so it doesn't interfere us. Mute mode. You know, what I mean, Andrea, is that I was just reading one of my chiropractic journals this morning, and they were saying that this pandemic that we're having, this COVID virus pandemic that we're having, has forced people to take a serious look at their health and take a hold of it.
Yeah, they should be anyway, right?
They're taking a serious look, and they're not just taking a serious look, they're making changes.
Well, good.
You know,
we can help them with that.
Yeah, because you know what they're showing is that the virus didn't cause the disease. What's causing the disease, what's causing people to be seriously ill, is their health, their pre-existing health condition is what's causing the problem.
Right.
Isn't that important to know?
Well, I would think it would be important to know, because if it's not this, what comes along next? Like, let's get healthy.
And that's exactly what people are saying. It's like you read the article. Did you write it?
No, I could write one though.
But that's exactly what people are saying. They're saying, based on what they're seeing, based on what they're hearing, because, Bill Gates and all the other experts, that have expertise in viruses are saying that this isn't going to be, I'm being a little bit sarcastic there, but
that was a funny joke.
But this isn't going to be the last virus. They're saying that this is going to be the first of a wave of many viruses that are going to come and hit us in the future.
We'll see about that.
Well, let's just say they're right. So
okay.
What has that done for you and me and for that guy and that lady and that guy and all these different people? Is that
wake up call?
A wake-up call. Yeah, they've looked at it and they've said, hey, we can't just continue to be status quo.
Right.
We can't just continue to say, we're going to let this stuff hit us and take out hundreds of thousands of people. So what are they doing about it, right?
Yeah, tell me about that.
Right? So what are they doing? They are doing things to combat this, right? Number one, they're going, hey, weight loss. They're saying that who's high risk for having problems because of the COVID virus? People who are overweight, people who are obese, right? That's, if you just look at the people that are overweight, what are they saying? It's 66% of Americans.
Yeah.
With over 30% being in the obese category. Right? They're looking at this.
And typically that just leads to other complications in your health.
Exactly. Obesity, weight loss, being overweight leads to health problems. But on the other hand, Andrea, scientists have said in the past, is the condition of being overweight, is the condition of being obese, is that merely a symptom of some other disease process? right? So while we have thousands of people that in a short 3 months, they're going to be going on their New Year's resolution for this year, because
Right.
last year's New Year's resolution didn't work. And now they're going to be trying a new weight loss plan, or they're going to try the same old one that didn't work last time. But maybe if they started looking at the overweight problem as being a symptom and not being the disease, maybe they'd have better luck.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's headed down that road of, falling into diabetes or heart conditions or kidney problems, anything like that, I mean, you got to take a look at that.
That's exactly it, Andrea. So when I was trying to come up this morning with what are we going to talk about, because every Tuesday, I don't really pre-plan too far in advance. Once
Right,
in a while.
folks. He never tells me in advance what he's going to talk about.
Oh, I sent you a text 2 hours ago, so don't say that.
Like 1 hour before.
2 hours before. But I come up with these ideas, and I base it on one of my reading in the journals. One of my, what do people want to hear about, and what's the hot topic, and the hot topic really is important because it's going to get people to listen. It's going to get people to take action. I mean, if we were talking about scurvy, who cares? How many people have scurvy? How many people are worried about it?
Right? Nobody.
Right? Not very many people. I mean, there's a few. If we talked about, some obscure disease, so, but this is the hot topic because a lot of people are changing their lifestyles, and they're trying to make the changes so that they can decrease their risk of having a serious issue with the COVID virus. But at the same time, just like you said, they're thinking, what can I do to prevent this in the next pandemic, the next epidemic, the next thing to come around, right? And they're starting to realize that maybe the weight loss is something else. And so you and I have talked about it on here in the past. What does this have to do with anti-aging?
The weight loss?
What does weight gain have to do with anti-aging?
Well, it's a strain on the body. So it's,
but I mean that is, but what I'm talking about is what conditions can you have related to aging that cause weight gain?
well, all the diseases that come along, diabetes, heart issues.
Okay, and what's the topic that you and I have talked about in the past? I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. I'm just trying to, make it so it's a conversation that people go, hey, that makes sense. So I'm talking about senescence.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that has a lot to do with it.
Right, because you and I have talked about in the past that if you've got senescent cells in your body, your immune system, for example, can go senescent. And what's that going to do?
Well, it's contributing toxins to your body for sure.
It's
and
contributing
then if you're
toxins.
If you have a bunch of cells in there that have gone into their zombie state and just give off toxins, they're not functioning correctly.
They're not functioning correctly. So you have an immune system that's not functioning correctly, and it by itself is releasing what we call endogenous toxins that your cells are making, cells that or toxins that your stem cells, the stem cells in your immune system. So wouldn't you say that if you're looking for a way to boost your immune system, no matter what age, wouldn't it be important to look at senolytics?
Yeah, definitely.
So what about diabetes, right? Diabetes is a major contributor to weight gain, right? Because diabetes is a condition where your body doesn't process the sugar properly. So then your liver turns that sugar into through gluconeogenesis. It'll create fat cells.
Right.
But So what is, I mean, we're talking type 2 diabetes, not type 1, but type 2 diabetes, adult onset, it used to be called adult onset, but now 5-year-olds are getting adult onset type 2 diabetes. I mean, isn't that kind of scary?
It is.
It is, and
But
it should be.
that's what happens when your kids eat at McDonald's 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, not just McDonald's, but just eat crappy food
Right?
all the time. I
Yeah,
mean,
just
holy
all the
cow.
food.
I mean,
Yep.
and so they're not getting the nutrition, but what happens is that when the cells get bombarded with all this sugar and it acts as a toxin, what it does is it causes those cells to go into senescence,
Ah, that's an
right?
interesting little tidbit.
So now here we hear that word senescence again.
Mm-hmm.
And so the senescence triggers the diabetes. The diabetes then triggers your body not to respond to insulin. And because you're not responding to insulin, your liver goes through a couple of changes and you start to gain weight.
How about that?
So if you only address the weight loss factor in this, are you really ever going to get the condition under control?
The obesity?
Right. If all you're doing is changing your diet, you go, oh, I'm going to go on a fad diet, is that really going to fix the condition? You could
Well,
starve yourself,
not after you've created the condition.
right? Because your cells have gone into senescence. Can you fix those cells by just merely changing your diet?
Oh, you would have to eat truckloads of food to do that.
The right nutrients, right?
Yeah.
To change it over. And you could you could merely change your diet and you're going to see some changes, but not everything. And so again, we look at senescence. What about heart disease?
That's from inflammation.
Inflammation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's one of the things that senescent cells triggers?
Inflammation due to the toxins being released.
Inflammation due to the toxins being released, and just all the pro-inflammatory factors that are released, right?
Yep.
I forget what it was termed, the senolytic activated secretory processes, right? So it's releasing all these different toxins and things like that are causing all these problems. So we can relate all of these things to that. So what are we going to do? I mean, dementia, again, senescence, and so this is a major topic. Mayo Clinic is working on it. I mean, holy cow!
Right.
I mean, I every day I get these newsletters, and a lot of them are talking about, okay, what's Mayo Clinic doing with senolytics now?
Right.
Right. And their answer to it, to me, just doesn't make sense. You know, they're saying they're going to use distatinib, which is a chemo.
No.
And the whole idea is that they're going to zap out those zombie cells that you talk about. They're going to zap out those unhealthy stem cells, and they're hoping that this distatinib, which is a chemo, right? So me, the way I think about it is, I looked at it and I said, okay, so if they're using distatinib, a chemo, I'm probably not pronouncing the word right, but they use such crazy words that they make up for these drugs that, you know, how do you pronounce them? But so I started, okay, well, what works like distatinib? How does the drug actually work? And then what natural ingredients work like that?
Right. Because they got it from somewhere.
They got it from somewhere. And what did I find?
You found a bunch of natural substances that will do the same thing, only
Well,
safer.
Yeah, actually, I found one that does the same thing.
Okay.
Ficitin.
Ficitin.
And you
Is
remember
that the
where we
one
get
that comes from strawberries?
it comes from strawberries.
Right.
But how much do you have to? I mean, you like when I was in Australia, I remember somebody saying to me, they said, "Oh, I love strawberries. I eat them every day."
3/4 ton Ford pickup.
You'd have to eat about that much, wouldn't you? Holy cow! Right, and I love strawberries too. Every morning I make a strawberry smoothie and I throw it in the blender with a bunch of other nutrients, and boom, away I go. Right.
Right.
So anyhow, this morning's topic, Andrea, I thought, why don't you throw a couple different things at me, different diseases, and let's talk about what can we do? What would I do? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
folks, I'm going to throw the disclaimer out here right now. Right.
Right.
Um, I can't prescribe. These are natural products. We're not prescribing. We're not making any medical claims. We're not trying to tell you that, hey, don't go see your doctor if you have, you know, this disease. I mean, for God's sakes, if you're sick, go see your healthcare provider, because you don't want to get more sick.
Mm-hmm.
But what would I do, or what would I recommend if one of my kids had whatever? And that's how we'll kind of describe it. And I'll tell you why I would do what I do, and without making any claims. Okay.
Okay. So a lot of times people are pre-warned that their kidneys are beginning to not function correctly, and it's a slow, long process into a place where they would have to get extreme help for that. So what if we talk about kidneys?
Yeah, kidney disease is actually a major topic, right? They're saying that the number of people that are suffering from chronic kidney failure in the United States is actually going up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's it related to? Well, it's highly related to diabetes, blood
Mm-hmm.
sugar problems. And so the first thing that I would do, if I was told that I had if I had any kind of kidney issues, I would radically change my diet. I would radically change my diet. You know, how does the kidney work? The kidney works by looking at the pH in your body. And so you want to try and get your pH to be as neutral as possible. You want to try and get it right around that 7 mark, or 7.2, or whatever it happens to be, right in that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would start eating a lot of dark green vegetables, dark orange vegetables, dark yellow, and all the brightly colored purples, and all that, because those are the vegetables that have lots of nutrients and minerals, and that's going to help bring that pH to a normal level, right?
Okay.
Homeostasis. Um, I would definitely cut out all the sugars. I would
Mm-hmm.
cut out all the sugars, the processed sugars. I mean, you can't cut out all sugars, because every thing eventually turns into sugar. But get rid of the processed sugars. You know, the white table sugars, especially the high fructose corn syrup. I'm gone,
Yeah. And you
gone.
have to check labels. You have to check labels to figure out what that's in, because they put it in tons and tons of things.
Well, and Andrew, you probably didn't realize that sugar made with sugar beets is actually high fructose as well.
Okay.
So when you go to the store, Christmas time is just coming up here, and we're all going to be making Christmas cookies and bacon and things like that. And winter
Bacon.
comes, and
Yeah.
baking, not bacon, baking, and so you want to look at using, organic cane sugar instead.
Right.
Like I taught my mom, if you're gonna bake, go look for that organic cane sugar. Don't buy the regular crystal sugar that's made with sugar beet sugar, because it isn't the same, and that overloads the kidneys. But what else overloads the kidneys is protein overloads the kidneys as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're having kidney issues, you definitely want to not really go on a real high protein diet as well. Not
Right.
while you're trying to fix the kidney. But what supplements would I use? Well, probably the most important one that I've seen is fucoidan.
Right.
It's a
How
brown
much of that?
seaweed
How
extract.
much of that would you take? Would
How
you
much
just
of
take
that
the
would I
regular?
take?
Well, if you
You
had
know
that
what?
issue going on.
if I was suffering from a disease where I was having kidney issues, I would probably take and do a dose in the morning and another one in the evening. I'd probably do it twice a day. I mean, that's me. I can't
Mhm.
prescribe. I'm just telling you that if I was using it to help with an issue like that,
Mhm.
the studies on it show that brown seaweed extracts, lima mui, fucoid, whatever you want to call it, um, the studies on it show that it supports healthy kidney function. And one of the side notes on it is that when your kidneys start to fail, they actually show that the kidneys trigger some different things to happen with the enzymes and that, but that triggers damage to the stem cells.
Okay.
So when I'm recommending to people that they go get stem cell therapy, I always recommend that a month before they're going to do the stem cell therapy, start taking some fucoidin, and that's going to help with supporting the healthy kidney. It's going to support healthy blood sugar problems. It's going to support getting rid of inflammation, which we know is a symptom of almost every chronic
Right.
disease. So hopefully
Mhm.
that answered your question on what I would do.
Okay. So moving right along, as Fuzzy Bear says, um, what about heart disease? Not,
Heart disease.
now I know there's different kinds of heart disease though, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
let's say the one where like your arteries are getting plugged up. What would you do for that?
Atherosclerosis. Well, again, like we were talking about with senolytics, um, when the cells inside the arteries, when the lining of the arteries inside there, when they start to get damaged, it damages the stem cells in there, and those stem cells, they go into senescence, and that causes accumulation of all this fat, and then that fat inside there, you get the deposits of different things like calcium to try and harden that so it doesn't tear the artery. You get deposits of lead and other fat soluble toxins. Teflon gets deposited in there, and I mean, and you just don't need that stuff in your arteries. So
Right.
first thing that I would do is I would go, okay, so what's causing the senescence, right? And I would
Mm-hmm.
start again looking at the same thing that I recommended for the person that has the kidney disease. I would do the fucoidin. I would change the diet radically. I would start doing a lot of those dark green, orange, yellow, purple vegetables, red vegetables. Again, they're high in the great nutrients that we need. Um, Another thing is I would look at Spectramax. Spectramax is a product that we have with Sizzle, and I've never seen anything else like it on the market. I mean, I could recommend other products, but I don't know of any. Off the top of my head, I can't give you any other product that I know of that has 74 trace minerals
Right.
as well as having 40 antioxidants. And so Spectramax is really, really important. I remember I was talking to Tom Senior one summer day. We were sitting out at his cabin out in the deck. Me and my son Zachary and Tom were sitting there, and I said, "What do you think is this was before the age pill came out, so it's a while ago." And I said, "What do you think is the most important product that you have at Sizzle at that time? If you could
Mm-hmm.
buy just one product, if you had $50 and you could buy one product, what product would you buy?" And he told me Spectramax. you know and so Spectramax is going to help out with those arterial linings as well. It's going to help out with getting rid of some of those senolytic cells, and it's going to help open it up. But the other product, well, actually, I'm not going to be done with it, but for Restore, it's got L-citrulline,
Mm-hmm.
it's got L-arginine, and what they found with L-citrulline and L-arginine is that it increases the nitric oxide levels. Like if you take a dose of For Restore right now, the studies are showing, and this is what I was just reading this morning, that when you take L-citrulline and L-arginine, right, we can't say it specifically about our product because, we're not a research laboratory. We don't study,
Right.
the ingredients, but the studies on the ingredients show that for the next 20 hours, almost for a day, you're going to have where the arterial linings are going to be softened up, and it's going to allow the arterial linings to stretch better. so that
Okay.
you can have, it's going to dilate the blood vessels, so you can have better circulation,
Mm-hmm.
right? 20 hours, Andrea. For the next 20 hours, if you take a dose right now, so we can say, I mean, pretty much we can say for the next day, you take a dose in the morning. I took mine a couple hours ago. When I got up, I took my dose of for Restore, and
Uh-huh.
I'm getting the L-citrulline, the L-arginine. I'm getting other things like hawthorn berry that help with cardiovascular system. So I would do that. I would recommend that anybody that has any kind of heart disease, and atherosclerosis being one of them, I would recommend um, the Super Omega. Super Omega has CoQ10 in it. CoQ10 is an enzyme that helps with cardiovascular issues. It helps with the arteries. It's got the omega 3s, very, very important. Omega 3s help with inflammation. There's lots of inflammation involved with heart disease. It's got a balance of the omega 3s and omega 6s, because you don't want to totally get rid of the omega 6s, but omega 6s are the ones that trigger a lot of inflammation, right? And right now in America, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in America, they're saying that on average, we have a ratio of the omega 6 to omega 3. We have a ratio of 20 to 1, or maybe even worse. They've shown that in some studies it's 25 to 1, and it should be a 1-to-1 ratio, omega
Wow.
6s to omega 3s, and so we want to balance it out, and that's one of the things that the Super Mega product actually does, is it has that
Mm-hmm.
balance of those omega 3s to those omega 6s. And again, look at your diet. I mean, if you're eating a diet that's high in the omega 6 categories, you got to make a change, because that's going to cause chronic inflammation, chronic low grade inflammation all the time. So if you wake up every morning and you wake up and your joints are stiff and sore, and you got foggy brain syndrome, and you've got some cardiovascular issues, and all these different things, neuropathies, all those things, start looking at what's your levels of your omegas. And you don't have to go get a blood test to see. You can just really look at your diet, start looking at it, do your own research.
Right.
If you eat a lot of bacon, you eat a lot of chicken and things like that, look it up,
Mm-hmm.
how much omega 3 versus omega 6, and get that ratio down. If you can, get it down to 4 to 1, so 4 parts omega 6 to 1 part omega 3. In an ideal situation, it's 1 to 1. That's why, like when I go hunting and I'm sitting up in a tree and I'm watching a deer, you'll see the deer eat a little bit of corn, then they go over and eat some grass. They'll eat some acorns. This time of year when the acorns are falling, they eat a ton of acorns. And then they eat some tree bark and apples and whatnot, right? Because they're getting that balance. They're not just consuming
Mm-hmm.
the sugars. They're not just eating the corn. They're not just eating the apples. They're getting a balance of everything. And nature does that. But we as humans, we tend to, you know, nail the high omega 6s. I mean, it's you go to the grocery store, that's what you're gonna see. Um, and then one of the products that you really, I mean, it's out of stock right now, but when they're having trouble getting one of the ingredients, but it'll be back in stock soon before the end of the year. It's called Stemolytics. It's a new
Right.
product that Tom came out with in February, and unbelievable product. Unbelievable product. Remove those damaged stem cells that we were talking about. I won't get into all that, but this senescent cells. It helps to remove
Mm-hmm.
them and supports the body's system. And what part of the system removes the senescent cells? The immune system. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
that. Oh, and then Eternity. It's got resveratrol. If I had heart
Mm-hmm.
disease, I'd probably I'm well, not probably I would. I'd take the Eternity product. So
Right.
I hope that answers the questions. I mean, and I mean, depending on what you have going on, decrease those dosages. You know,
Mm-hmm.
again, we can't prescribe because it's a natural product.
Oh, we're down to almost 12:30. Do you want to do one more topic?
Sure, throw something at me. Let's hear it.
Let's talk about the big C.
Oh man. Yeah, cancer is I'll tell you what. I think based on what and this is my opinion, and I know that a lot of experts agree with me on it, that cancer is a man-made disease. It's
Mhm.
triggered by environmental toxins,
I
and
agree with that.
you look back to the 1970s when when Richard Nixon was president of the United States. He started the President's Council on Cancer, and back then in 19 what was that, 1972? I am not a crook, right? Um,
Yep.
didn't that was when they came up with the President's Council on Cancer, and they said at that time, they said we'll have cancer cured in 5 years.
That didn't happen.
No way, it got worse, didn't it?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was just talking about this the other day. When I was a kid, I was like age 13. Nobody talked about cancer. I think we covered this on a call last week or something. And when I was 13, I found out that my grandmother's brother had had cancer, and it was like a shock. It was like, oh, cancer, because you never heard of cancer very much. Nobody talked about it. And now it's
Right?
like everywhere.
Oh, it's gotten so bad, Andrea, that people are more worried about other things. They've just accepted that, oh, yeah, he got cancer. Oh, well, she got cancer. It's just it's not devastating news. I mean, it is, but it's not like it used to be. It's so common now. It's
Well, we can start with what you talked about on the other situations is your food. A lot of your
yeah.
food and the stuff you're intaking. I just went to my chiropractor yesterday, and he was telling me a friend of his who is a chiropractor has a little device, I forget what you call it, but it measures everything in your body. And he said they ran it on his wife was having issues, and they ran it on apples, that they ran this device on her apples, and it showed that there's Roundup on her apples. And he said you're getting poisoned by the apples you keep eating. So in that case, an apple a day didn't keep the doctor away.
Right.
Right. So we
Yeah,
have to look at all those things, and we have a product that will wash all your fruit and vegetables and get toxins off.
well, it gets it off the outside, but what about on the inside, right? Like that
Right. What
glyphosate.
it's made in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people might do a great job of washing that apple, but what about if that Roundup was accidentally sprayed on the trees when the apple was forming, when the blossom was on the tree, and it got inside there, or it got into the roots of the plant, and the plant absorbed it up. They're making so many plants now. They genetically modified so many plants that the Roundup doesn't kill them, so the plant can be sprayed with it, and it won't damage them.
Yeah.
You know, so but Roundup is one. It's just one. You know,
Yeah.
I remember I was just watching a TV show the other day, and up until the right after World War II, all this arsenic that we were using, they were using arsenic as a spray in apple orchards and fruit trees, and they were using it as sprays in gardens and things like that, because it killed a lot of the bugs and that kind of stuff, so they could actually use that. And they thought it was, I mean, it was the wonder product. But it's not just your food. It's in your air. I mean, like here in Fargo, what things do you get exposed to? You can go. There used to be a website. It was called toxtown.gov,
Yep.
toxtown.gov, and you could go on there, and you could look, and you could see, based on the things that you did for a career, your job. Say you're a teacher, you could look up on there and you could see what toxins you were probably being exposed to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what neighborhoods you lived in, things like that. And there was another website, a government website, where you could go and you could look at the air quality. You could see what's in the air around my zip code 58104, and things like that. But it's again, it's not just that. It's not just those things. Um, a lot of it has to do with the personal care products that you use. I mean, if you want to lower your risk of cancer, without even having to talk about taking nutrients and supplements and something that you'd have to train yourself how to do. You have to train yourself. I'm going to take these supplements every morning. I'm going to do this detox every day, whatever, right? What if you just simply changed your toothpaste?
Yep.
What if you started with that and you said, okay, I got to brush my teeth anyhow. I'm going to use a toxin-free toothpaste because they've shown that most toothpaste has that glyphosate in it, and it's got concrete cleaner, and it's got these different toxins in it. What if you changed your shampoo and you didn't have shampoo that had sodium lauryl sulfate in it?
Mm-hmm.
What if you changed your soap? What if you changed your laundry detergent? What if you changed your dishwashing detergents and these different things? You're going to lower your toxin intake more by doing that than by
Mm-hmm.
changing your diet. Because like Samuel Epstein, he's a doctor. He was a chairman of the um, Cancer Coalition. Um, he said that you could take a toxin like say glyphosate and you could eat it, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
more toxic if you put it on your skin than if you eat it.
Right.
So if you're worried about cancer, that's the first thing that I would do. And again, we can't make any medical claims and say, oh, you're going to cure this, you're going to cure that. But you're going to lower your risk because in my opinion, the only cure for cancer is don't get it in the first place.
Right.
That's really the only cure, because once you have it, you're more prone to getting it again. Look at the people that have had it, that have had cancer. Aren't they actually more prone to getting it over and over and over again? Sure they are. And it's just like having weeds in my yard. I mean, if I have weeds out there, I'm gonna. You can take and you can spray them. They come back. They
Mm-hmm.
come back. Um, and like Andrea said, detoxing. We have a super detox product. We have Body Shield. Great products. Great products. And it'll pull out those toxins again. I would and Body Shield. I forgot about that when you were talking about kidney disease and heart disease. I would use it for that as well. You know,
Okay.
what things would I do if I went to the doctor today and he said, "Hey, Kurt, I'm sorry to tell you, but you have, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the big C,
Big.
and the big C." Um, Andrea, I've thought about that, and I've really thought about what would be one of the first things that I would do. Well, depending on the type of you know strain of cancer that I had, I would look at different supplements. I mean, fucoidan, brown seaweed
Mm-hmm.
extracts. The not our product. We've never tested it, but over in Japan, a book was written about how it helps with killing off cancer cells. So we use that ingredient. The studies aren't on our product. I'm just saying that brown seaweed extract was studied and it was found to have a real good benefit with people. Um, I would look at Eternity. It's got high doses of resveratrol, and both those ingredients are what they call anti-angiogenic, which means that it cuts off the blood supplies to tumors, right? And if you can't get blood to the tumor, if you can't get a blood supply to the tumor, then the tumor can't grow. But now, some cancer cells are the real dangerous ones. I forget the term that they call it, but they can make their own blood vessels.
Mm.
They can supply themselves with a source of nutrients. And that's the problem. That's one of the problems that we're seeing with these really aggressive cancers. And so you have to be real aggressive in certain situations. And CBD oil. There's been some studies on CBD oil. Again, not on ours. I mean, we haven't done any studies on ours. But would I take CBD oil? Yeah, I would. Um, omega 3s again, and Spectramax to feed the good nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that I don't get, is that when you go see your oncologist, they say, well, you know, don't take any nutrients because it might feed the cancer cell. Well, I mean, for God's sakes, don't you want to keep the rest of your body strong so that your immune system can fight off the cancer? Because it's up to your body to fight it, no matter if you're doing chemo or if you're doing whatever.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, so I would do that. I mean that's what I would do, kind of in a nutshell. And again, depending on the form that we were talking about, I mean, more or less of certain things, more or
Mm-hmm.
less of certain things, um, because again, you look at the aggressiveness, you look at the source, but definitely, if you want to lower your risk, which is really the only cure, is to prevent it in the first place. Um,
Right.
pull the toxins out of your body according to everything that's been done. All the studies that have been done since 1972, when the President's Council on Cancer was formed, they've come out and they said that, I think it's like 90% of cancer is caused from toxicity.
Yep. How about
So
that?
yeah, I think one disease that we really should hit on before I know it's getting late and we've gone over time, um, but we should talk about issues with the brain as well, dementia.
Okay.
You know, again, kind of one of those hot topics. It's something that people are worried about. They're more worried about having dementia than they are worried about getting cancer. That's the latest polls that they have out there. And so, what can we do to help with that? Well, what I'm reading is that, first of all, you got to look at the brain. What's the composition of the brain? Well, over
Mm-hmm.
half your brain is fat.
Right.
So wouldn't it make sense that if you want to have healthy brain tissue, healthy brain function, that you want to supply your brain with good fat, lots and lots and lots of good fat?
Mm-hmm.
And so again, we look at the omega 3s and we look at the omega 6s. You want to have more of the omega 3s, less of the omega 6s, because you don't want to have inflammation and neurodegeneration. Degeneration of the brain cells is triggered by a lot of inflammation. So you want to
Mm-hmm.
get rid of a lot of those omega 6s, add more of the omega 3s. Um, DHA from fish oil. If you're a vegan, you got to figure out your own sources of these things. Folks, I can't tell you that, but I use fish oil. I use high doses. I mean, every morning I take a couple capsules. I take a couple of capsules in the evening, right? They found
Mm-hmm.
that there's certain specialized oils from fish oil. You can look at that, look those up, but specialized omega 3s, um, and I take some of them every day as well, and that's going to help with getting the good connections in the brain. Um, uh, a Bacaba or Bacopa, however you want to say it. It's a
Mm-hmm.
herb that comes from India. It's a plant-based herb. Bacabicides. They help with healthy brain connections. Go to cola. Go to cola. It comes way over from that side of the world as well, and they found that it helps with making healthy brain connections. Um, Magnesium. They found that magnesium is very, very important. They found that you have, I was just reading this morning, that you have an increase of about 15% in memory function when you take the high dose of magnesium. Magnesium is needed in 300 different enzymatic reactions.
15%'s a lot.
Yeah. So, but magnesium is a big molecule, and it's hard
Mm-hmm.
for it to pass through the blood-brain barrier. It's like this wall that your body puts up to prevent toxins from getting into the brain, and so with magnesium, you got to attach it to something.
Okay.
And so they found that if they attach it to um, a ingredient that comes from vitamin C that's called threonate, magnesium threonate, it passes through the blood-brain barrier. Imagine that, attached to vitamin C. So
Well,
magnesium threonate.
interestingly enough, our H2 Sticks product has magnesium and vitamin C in it. So, would you consider that a good source of magnesium for the day?
Um, no, not for brain function. I think it's a great source of magnesium because we need magnesium for so many other things. But it's not chelated to the threonate. So
Okay.
you have to have, in order to get it to pass through the blood-brain barrier, you want to have the magnesium threonate, and that comes from our Brain Vitality product.
Yeah, we have
Right?
that great product. Yep. And you know,
Yeah.
I did a call on that back in February when you were in Australia, or last
Yep.
February probably. And you know, that was the surprising research that I saw there, is that
Yeah.
that particular substance actually pretty much dissolves some stuff that really
Yeah. So it
helps your
has.
brain function.
So it has the magnesium threonate, it has the BACBA, it has the gotu-kola in it. Plus, it has a form of curcumin, which comes from turmeric, and that helps get rid of inflammation in the
Inflammation.
brain cells as well. And
Yep.
so it has a special form of the curcumin, and the curcuminoids are so important for healthy brain function. And so I would really recommend that. You know, talking about fish oils, you know, the study that I read this morning, it decreases your risk of having dementia by 40%. Decreases your risk of Alzheimer's by 40% if you take fish oil.
40%.
40%.
That's huge.
Right? It really is. So I mean, folks, I mean, you're listening to all the things that we're talking about. You know, isn't it important? And sure, you can get some things from your diet, but boy, I tell you what, you know, according to, you know, the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, they had a study that came out. I don't remember how many years ago. It was published in Harvard as well, and they said that it's prudent. A prudent person, somebody who's you know really trying to take action, would start looking at specific nutrients.
Right.
I mean, I think I eat well. If you look at my house, I don't have you know, crackers and chips and sugary drinks and things like that. I've got juice in my fridge. I've got coconut milk in there, and I've got, you know, and I've got fruits and vegetables, and I've got organic meats, and you know, I still take a handful of supplements in the morning and a handful at night.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know. Is there any other things that you really wanted to hit on?
I think we hit the main topics.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah. And for those of you that might have questions, you know, feel free to email me, docfizz@me.com. Email me there and just say, hey, you know, what about this? You know, and again, we can't make any medical claims. I really want to stress that Andrea and I can't make any medical claims. We're not researchers. We haven't spent millions of dollars researching and putting these products on the market to cure disease or anything like that. If you've got a health problem, go see your healthcare provider.
Mm-hmm.
And but it certainly doesn't hurt to make some changes in your diet, make some changes in your lifestyle at the same time, and really address some of those things that we're talking about.
Right. Well, thanks, Doc. That's a wrap. Another
That's a wrap.
Tuesday. Another
All right.
Tuesday with Doc Fizz.
All
Thank you so
right. You
much.
have a wonderful day, Andrea.
You
Thanks for
too.
being with us,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.